Aloha, everyone. I'd just like to say good morning, and I'd like to welcome Philipp von Holtzendorff of Leela Labs, which is a C60 company. He's also one of the founders of Path of Love, another wonderful business opportunity that he's been pursuing for quite some time, and helping people with all sorts of different, I guess, expanding their consciousness. But what I want to kind of just talk with Philipp about today, and I wanted to share this with everybody, is Philipp's latest focus and his new venture. And I just wanted to kind of just talk to Philipp about it, share that with everybody, and kind of expand on what's on the new website. So Philipp, hey, welcome. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you launched your new venture slash website this week, and it's there's been quite a buzz in Telegram about it. I mean, a lot of people are just really, I mean, the site is just beautiful, and of course, obviously, there's going to, I've got questions. Everyone's got some questions. You've been peppered with questions, literally for every single hour since you started. Everyone's like proofreading your website. Is pretty funny. But I guess the thing is you've been doing all of this stuff with the C60 and the Path of Love. I know that you've been in quantum energy, kind of that whole space for quite a long time, especially working with your wife Crew and your partner Roman. But I was like wondering, could you share with us, like, what is the new focus of this new company or this new product, the Leela Quantum Tech? I mean, could you kind of just expand, like, what's the focus of this one now? I mean, of this adventure?
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe one step back. So what really drives me, where my passion is to um, help providing bridges between science and consciousness, if you will. That may sound pretty abstract, but C60, for example, is one of those things. It can really, from our perspective at least, bring humanity forward in a way that other substances and molecules haven't so far. And it actually also works on the quantum level quite significantly, the C60 molecule. A lot of people don't know that. And, where I'm coming from, I used to be in a big corporate career and all of that a long time ago. And very early on noticed that that's really not what life is about, right? I mean, that's a nice game you can play here on Earth, but it's really not what we came here for and what I came here for. So I always, for a long, long time, worked on actually trying to remember why I'm here and working on removing blockages that prevent me from seeing energies and things like that. So fast forward, that was fairly successful. And now I feel like, because I was not born like my wife Crew or Roman, where you can see all the energies and frequencies, I pretty much had forgotten all of that. And I, early on, I actually didn't think this even exists and thought, that's kind of crazy, but it really isn't. And I kind of know how it is if you've forgotten these things. And if you're starting to understand, though, with your heart, there is more, right? There is more. And now what we're doing with Path of Love and with C60, but also with this quantum approach, is really helping people bridge the gap. And this new focus with Leela Quantum Tech is, on one hand, on very special frequencies that can help with a lot of different situations and topics in life. And some of them are very use case focused, right? I mean, where, like a sleep and rest card, for example, has a very specific purpose. And then there are some other cards, though, that we also will be introducing more cards over the next several weeks and months that are focused more on the spiritual path, if you will, inner peace or unity. Those would be frequencies that probably don't interest a lot of people that really have a very specific use case. Hey, I want to sleep better, or hey, I just want to heal my body with the heal frequency. So there's a big bandwidth of how to move forward on your very individual path. So some frequencies that we offer may really not be the right ones for some people, and then others are exactly the right ones. So it's a bandwidth, and we wanted to not just cater to one group of people. And really try to provide the best frequencies and healing frequencies we can. And now, you can see on the website, we may go into that we work with a network of healers together, and those are not just some healers, that just say, hey, I can heal, or I can do great things. Yeah, we can all do great things, frankly, and I actually support that. There's a big difference between just getting started on something like that, or being an absolute expert and professional, having done this for years and having trained thousands or hundreds of other healers. And those people we connected with that are, they have been in our network already, but we connected them specifically for this purpose. And they all were more than willing to, help and to think about, okay, what are these frequencies that right now would be very helpful for people. And we're living in very special times, right? And everybody would agree probably with that. And we understand that all on a little bit different level. So that is the one focus, really. And before I forget that, I must say that love is what really vibrates in everything that we do. It's kind of the overarching umbrella. And so this is not an industrial focus here. This is really a focus, to help people, but also the environment, animals, and plants, for that matter, and have love be part of everything that we do, but also every product that we deliver. And expanding beyond that, certainly the quantum energy is just a great way of working with frequencies and enhancing certain products, right? So quantum energy can be defined in various ways. It can be named in various ways. I want to make sure people understand that this is not just about technology here. It is about technology on one hand, but really what we keep forgetting is that we have this ability that we can all access if we just work on it really for maybe some time, to actually also create these quantum energy field, concentrate quantum energy fields. So our consciousness is able to do a lot of things that most of the people have forgotten that we can do that, right? So I think that's an important fact. Yes, it's easier than to leverage technology, but it's really consciousness meets science, right? That is what this is about, because quantum physics, enlightened people, and inventors like Tesla or Boscovich or others, they've all been talking about the same thing, right? And they've been describing the same thing. So it's none of this is here just scientific or spiritual. No, it's just it's a merge. And yeah, we try to provide products that people can use that help them in their daily lives in multiple situations, whether at home, at work, if kids go to school, but also bringing a little bit of a new focus on animals and plants as well. Because, one thing we know is that obviously we're all frequency, and quantum energy works and frequency works, and we can get a little bit later into that. But a lot of people, because we're so blocked and we just, in a way, often we're programmed or just think, this is not real, it doesn't exist. It still works then, but sometimes we have a hard time feeling it, and it's kind of like a process to feel a little bit more of what these things do. But animals, for example, they are they don't have these concepts of this works or doesn't work. It's just it just is there, and they leverage it and they enjoy it, and you can help animals because if we talk about EMF, for example, certainly they're impacted as well, right? And what can they do about it? So we tend to think about, okay, what can we do for ourselves? And yeah, there are lots of great ideas that people have, what you can do to protect against EMF, but what is it that you can do with your dog or with your cat? And we thought, they live with us here on Earth, so why not think about ways, how we can help them as well. And what you see here on the website in regards to animals is really just the beginning.
Right. So I get, for the novice individual, how would you describe, I mean, the idea of you've taken and you've taken like everyday objects, right? And even more interesting is let's talk about the EMF shielding clothing, which I think is by itself it's beneficial, but then you've added this enhancement to it that makes it even more valuable in terms of protecting our physiology from the harmful effects of electrosmog. And I want to talk about that because you've done some testing on that, and there's some really interesting results from that. But in terms of like, if for people who don't understand that, everyday objects can be enhanced with an energy force, and it's very difficult because it's not electricity, it's not magnetism, it's not typical physics that you learn in academia, but it's something beyond that. So how would you describe that to someone who's never really, ventured into the idea that there's an energy force that, I guess the best way is like Einstein called this energy ether, right? Wilhelm Reich created the term orgon. Of course, the Asians for forever have called it chi or ki, and of course the Indians, Ayurvedics, have called it prana. But I mean, or even are those concepts of energy applicable to the idea of quantum? And just how would you explain it? Because really, from a novice standpoint, I look at your website, or a novice would look at your website and go, oh, coasters, bracelets, and mugs, whoopee, right? I mean, honestly, but but truly though, these are not just, but these have been infused with this energy so that all of the benefits that you're describing, come through this enhancement. And so how would you describe that energy to someone
Yeah, I think
who's never heard of it?
that's one of the hardest tasks
Yeah,
probably to describe this energy. I think you've done a great job already of describing it the way you've done it, because
yeah,
often, the general ways to describe something in the material world doesn't really apply for something very energetic, where you can't really, with your brain it's hard to understand.
yeah,
So anyway, I think everybody would agree that there's consciousness, right? So otherwise you wouldn't be able to notice things and just be in your body. And then there's a certain energy, right? There's a certain energy that makes a plant grow, for example, and that drives you. That's just a life force that everybody can sense within themselves, right? It's, I mean, I remember very early on when I started thinking about these things and I hadn't met crew and all that, it's like you have this concept of you're your body, and that's kind of it.
yeah,
And but
yeah,
it's like, no, we basically just live in our body, and it may take some time for people to realize that and internalize that, but anyway, it's really this energy. And then it's just not, the energy's all over the place. Yeah, quantum energy is everywhere, right? It really is everywhere. Then the question is, can you move it? Can you concentrate it? And then can you put it in objects, for example? And the answer is yes, you can. And you can even do that with consciousness. So, if we had Roman here right now, he could just demonstrate that. You could just put a cup somewhere on your table, and then over the distance he could put quantum energy in it, right? It's absolutely possible, and a lot of
yeah.
people may not believe that, but it's still possible. So
Yeah.
now, did you want to ask something?
No, I just want to say that if people want to actually see the concept of an individual manipulating three-dimensional physics, there's a YouTube video out there of a chi master, and he and this is a real video of this guy and they're having lunch, and one of them says, well, could you show us? And so this master takes a chopstick and he concentrates on it, and he just pushes it through the top of the table and then picks it up on underneath it. And so
Nice.
and it's like, okay, how did and so it's examples of that. Is like, how do Shaolin monks take your hand, which has got like whatever 28 bones in it, and push it through a log, and then none of the bones break. I mean, it's those kinds of amazing feats of individuals stretching their consciousness beyond the three-dimensional physics that we understand it to be. That's how I got into this, which was like, okay, how do you explain that? And then all the other,
Yeah.
the academics, they cannot explain that. In fact, one of the most important aspects of actual academic science is the concept of the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Academic science accepts the placebo effect, right, as part of every single study they have. But what is that? I always like to challenge academics by saying, well, you believe in you accept the placebo effect. In fact, you would alter all of your studies to take it into account. Yes, we do. All right, then what is it? Well, it's just people are just convinced that they could do it. Oh, so you admit that somebody's mind can literally cure themselves by giving them like a sugar tablet, and they're like, oh, no, that's not possible. But you just right, but you just said there's a placebo effect, and all of these people took a sugar pill, and they were cured. And but you don't want to say that the power of the mind or the consciousness has the ability to cure, right? It's just so funny, but it's to me it's the greatest example of, hey, this really does exist. You guys accept it. You just don't want to realize it. You don't want to admit it, right?
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool. So, okay, so you're using consciously this energy,
Mhm.
this is and you're embedding that consciousness and that energy into these objects. And so
Yep.
let's talk about your. I mean, I love the new focus on EMF clothing. I think is such a pronounced concern of the 5G electro smog and all of that stuff. So, can we talk about that right now? Because you've got this page on your website that's got all these certificates, but they're in a foreign language to all of us English only folks. So I was wondering if maybe you could kind of talk about, okay, you took clothing material, right, that has got 99% silver in the fabric, right? So they've taken silver and embedded it into the fabric. So it's what I would consider what we call like EMF shielded clothing. You could get
Mhm.
that at shielding companies that sell clothing materials, drapes, all that stuff, right? But you've taken this and you kicked it up a notch by embedding energy into it, and then you had it tested. So my first question is, when you did you have it tested with and without the energy, or just with the energy?
No, absolutely. That
Okay,
otherwise it wouldn't
yeah, just
be.
yeah,
I mean, would still be a good test, but it wouldn't be a perfect test, if you will, because
sure,
we certainly all those institutes that we work with, they're leading in their field. So just the EGIF Institute, for example, they've been around for decades, actually doing research on electrosmog, or how you call it in the US, EMF,
yeah,
and from various aspects, they've done hundreds and thousands of studies and all of that. And certainly they always look into, okay, so what is the impact um, first, without using a device, or in this case a t-shirt, for example, or a hoodie, and then how is it without it, with it. And so they were very focused just on EMF, and but their tools that they have and devices, they can very simply measure that. So, and they really, so on those clothings, they it's very easy for them actually to measure, because you could basically see with the device that it doesn't get through, right? Whether it's the 3G, 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, whatever they've tested, it just doesn't get through. The more difficult part to test is then, okay, what is the impact on the human body when you wear a t-shirt, for example, that has all these benefits and is charged with quantum energy. And so the Basa Institute in Austria, they they had, I guess, we worked with about 14 different test objects, So people basically, they call them test objects. I find that always really funny, because they're really not objects. They're living people.
Humans.
And yeah, and so then, and they've tested EMF on one hand, actually in multiple ways. So EMF just in general, then the total EMF blast in the car, like in an electric car where there's a whole lot of EMF. And then they've tested a lot of other things. I don't know if we want to go into that right now, but focusing on the EMF for now. So you basically, test the person and their organ functions and meridian flow and everything. When they get exposed to the EMF or the EMF in the car, for example, and you see how it develops, what within very short time frame, very short time frame, all of their measurements ended up being pretty bad. It's must say it's different from person to person, right? Not everybody has exactly the same effects. Everybody's very unique, and but in all cases of all the people that they've tested, EMF had a significant impact, and they did pretty bad, right? Everybody would have then said, okay, well, you're not doing great. Your organs don't work well. Your blood is not ideal, and all of that. No, then they would give these people the T-shirt. The people didn't know what this does, had no clue, and didn't also know what was really being tested. Then they were tested again, and in all cases, in 100% of the cases, in extremely short time frame, all of the functions were in ideal condition again. And I really mean that, an ideal condition, which is very, very profound, actually. And it demonstrates very clearly that on one hand, you're shielding, but it did a lot of other things. So, and it also proves, the existence of the quantum energy in there, because it improved really not just EMF, and it went way beyond just the blocking effect, because at the same time, this positive energy is being transmitted to your body. And certainly, then the body absorbs it, and it has the positive effects that it can benefit from. And it was demonstrated with a lot of other things, herbicides and pesticides. What if you're exposed to that? And certainly just the shielding material wouldn't do anything for that. Right. So it's actually pretty cool. And we knew certainly that it's a great product, and we could see energetically and feel from own testing what it does. But certainly it's a completely different situation if you provide your products to a third-party institute, and then they work with lots of people to test them, and they don't know anything about it, and what comes out of it, right? We expected it to be positive, but we had no idea it would be that positive across the board. And I think for the whole space, that is actually very interesting.
So okay, thank you. That's okay. So I got some questions. So you're saying, so it's not just the T-shirts as well, but like your Heal capsule as well had a positive physiology effect on people from EMF?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So every time it was tested.
Yeah, I see the certificate for the, okay, sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Yeah, and even the eGIF Institute. So the eGIF Institute tests T-shirts, for example, or hats, caps, hoodies, and so on, in a different way than they test our Leela Quantum Heal capsule, as an example, because so the basa goes very deep in all of these organ functions, as I just described, but the eGIF Institute really typically just focuses on, okay, is there any EMF now, and what does it do? And then you do that with these measurement devices. If you wear a capsule, it works in a different way, because it doesn't block the EMF. It harmonizes and neutralizes EMF, and then transmits positive and beneficial energy to the body. And the way that they measure that is with the heart rate variability rate. And so they basically check on that rate, as well as the autonomic nervous system. And so for that, they had like 12, I think 12 people that they did this study with, and they've tested actually the effects not only after a few hours, but they even went beyond that and looked, okay, what does it do if you wear it during the day for a day or for 2 days, and it actually kept improving. Um,
Wow. Okay.
so yeah, it was great. It was actually from 12 people, 11 people had a very, very visible positive effect. So we got 5 stars. It was very significant. They were amazed actually by the results. And there was one person where there wasn't any significant bettering. It was basically stayed the same. And it is interesting to note that that person didn't have any negative effects of the EMF to begin with. So
Oh,
that was kind of interesting because, you know, and I know that because we can combat EMF ourselves if we know how, or if we're fully tuned in. It's absolutely possible, right? You wouldn't need a T-shirt or a capsule if you're like that. Like Roman, for example, you know, wouldn't need this. It's just unnecessary. And there are other people like that. And so this one person wasn't impacted negatively by EMF, and there was also no bettering seen after that. So because they in that case just measured EMF, right? If they
yeah.
had measured other things, you know.
That guy ought to have workshops. Hey, okay. So my other question is for those of us who have never heard of this company Besa and IGEF, could you just kind of explain like these are? It's not like a couple of old guys in a shack, right? And these are actual folks that do full-on science testing, and I mean that's kind of what these companies are. Or these yeah,
Yes.
okay, these certificate.
Yeah. So the EGEF Institute is the largest EMF testing
Oh,
institute, independent testing institute, and research institute in Europe, and maybe worldwide. I have no clue. I don't know. I don't. You know, I'm not. It's not really my space to figure out who are all those institutes, but they're at least in Europe the largest. They're out of Dublin, and work out of Spain as well, Dublin and in Ireland. And yeah, the BESA Institute in Europe is the most respected testing institute for everything around bioresonance and biofeedback. And they've developed a testing method also with the device that they work with, yeah, to basically check on your organ functions, blood level, meridian flow, etc., with pre and after. So it's pretty profound, and they've been around for quite some time. They all have a medical background, actually,
oh, okay.
yeah, which is very interesting. But certainly, they, you know, that's where they kind of started, like the kind of Western medicine approach, and then they've all, you know, expanded their knowledge and, you know, looked into alternative healing methods and opportunities. And, you know, for many years they've been well aware of that, and they're pretty well known in, you know, all of the German speaking countries. At least they've been featured on TV and all of that.
Okay. No, that's great. That's great to hear. I know you got to catch a plane, so we're gonna have to stop in 5 minutes, unfortunately, because I have so many more questions. But so my the main point I want to kind of emphasize, and if you could just, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the testing by two different accredited, institutions, indicates that even if it's like one of these heal capsules or just a T-shirt, that it offers full body physiological, I guess help or protection. I don't know if protection is the best word, but from the negative effects of EMF. So it's like a whole body, right?
Yes.
It's not like you got to, because if you go to other places, they'll sell like EMF shorts and EMF aprons, and so it's kind of like they're telling you got to wrap yourself up in a bubble. But your product is just any one of these devices offers full body, the full body effect, right? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Wow.
And certainly to describe a T-shirt, for example, so with that you cover, you know, all your main organs, right?
Yeah.
So that is just a good space to wear something like that. And it doesn't certainly block your knee and your ankle if you just wear that T-shirt, right? But
Right.
because of the charging of, so first of all, the whole impact of EMF is being reduced, even if it wasn't charged, right? That would already be helpful. but it's now charged with quantum energy. And because of these effects, you're absolutely right, that has a positive effect on the whole body. So that in that point, it doesn't really matter anymore that you don't cover your knee. You're still going to be doing a whole lot better in your knee and your ankles and all over the body.
Right. No, that's great. Okay, we got 3 minutes, and there's okay. I got more questions, but I do want to talk about the one last thing is you are starting a new Telegram group. Link in the video description below. So could you kind of talk about your new Telegram group? And if anyone's interested in finding the website, it's just simply leilaq.com. And then you're also going to be on Telegram, so I'll provide the link to the Telegram group. But can you just kind of share in your last couple of minutes about the new group and what do what do you want to do with it and what's it for and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got great plans with this group, and I'm very much looking forward to that. We'll constantly grow it, and we're very, very excited to have people there that want to share and learn. And it's going to be a collection of different topics and people that we actually want to have in this group. And it's really, one is the scientific aspect of research and testing and application of quantum physics and quantum energy and frequencies. But we want to take in also the world of consciousness and healing and these topics. And in terms of people, obviously everybody's welcome and invited that's interested in any of these topics, but certainly we want to involve also some of our healers that we work with. Every other healer and naturopathic practitioner is welcome as well, and then certain scientists too. So we'll get into interviews. We'll provide interviews. We'll provide some contests there and great topics. I think there's so much to cover. I'm already sad that we have to stop talking here in just a few minutes, but yeah, so that group is really there to share and learn all about that. And we want to not have this be a very narrow focus, but a broader focus, because it's a really emerging of a few different aspects, all of this here.
Okay, you know what? Thank you so much. And I just want to emphasize something that I found to be pretty cool is that there are products for pets. So not only are you introducing something new to the market in terms of quantum energy, EMF shielded clothing, but you're also providing quantum energy devices for pets as well as heal frequency for dogs, right? So there's
and for cats,
way more.
yes.
And cats, good, okay. So there's way more, opportunity to kind of, spread the energy across your whole home to not just the people in it, but to your plants as well as your animals. So the only question I've got on the dog collars is it's leather and brass. So is the energy mostly in the brass? Is that kind of how that works?
Yes, that is correct. I mean, so the way we use a two-step process to charge these objects. So there's already a positive vibration also in the leather, absolutely. But the brass, as you know,
Yeah.
it holds a lot more of the quantum energy and transmits it in a pretty nice way.
Okay. Yeah, I guess in our next chat we could talk about your different frequencies because that's not on the website yet, as well as the whole idea of using brass. But last question. These water bottles, when I looked at it last night, it didn't say how big they are. Like, it says what color, but are they like 500 milliliters or 1 liter bottles?
They're bigger. Yeah, they're about
Okay.
between, like, they're almost 750 milliliters.
Okay. All right, great. Sorry, I just had some questions. I was shopping. I was like, hey, okay, but yeah, we're at the top of the hour, and thank you so much, Philip. Is there anything you want to share before you leave? Because I know you got to catch that plane. So anything you need to share, and then we'll drop off.
Well, just a big thank you again for having me and your interest in this whole space. Thanks to everybody watching this and being interested in this, and be curious, because this is is such an interesting field. And I think I want to let you know that there is going to be a lot more of this coming in the next month and years. And that goes way beyond what we do, because there's so many people working on different stuff. And one thing I can't really say yet, but there's someone that I really like and that I know very well. He's been also working on an interesting product that touches this field. And also in this group, probably in the next week or so, I will start talking about that a little bit and introduce that, because we want to support this space, and we like when people open up, right? So scientists, often we say, okay, scientists, that their thinking is so narrow, but there's so many great scientists out there that know that they don't know everything, right? And that there's more out there. And I think this curiosity in all of us, if we can activate that again and figure out, what's there more beyond just the regular daily life of going to work and taking a shower in the morning and then going to bed again. There's so much more to explore. And I think if more people do that and think about that, I think the world will become a better place. And in the end, ultimately, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to say aloha, mahalo for spending some time with me this morning. Look forward to hearing you on Sarah Westall in a week, and thank you so much for your time. So have a great
Thank you,
flight.
Dave.
I know you're doing the event tomorrow. I hope that goes well, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds great. Have a great weekend.
Okay, aloha.
All right. Bye.